From the shadow of the big house, it's IT4U, tips and tricks on ITS tools, products, services, and more with your host, Jean Mackey. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to IT4U. I'm your host, Jean Mackey. And just a little intro here. If you're having any audio or video problems during the webinar, tell us in the chat pod, and if it's not on our end, we will have a few troubleshooting tips we can offer. There are some mobile options for IT4U in terms of some links right here. And this same PowerPoint is in the file share pod if it moves too fast. This is the IT4U collaboration series because we got all these new tools and now we're trying to figure out how to best make use of them. And there's a link here to the Next Gen Michigan page, and that's where you can get all the recordings in the collaboration series without having to log in. If you're a person with a disability who needs an accommodation, just give us a little bit of notice and we'll do what we can. And what's coming up, IT4U27 is going to be Intro to Google Hangouts. So we've already done an Intro to Google Hangouts, but Google's always making some little changes here and there, so this is going to be an updated version with Mike Stork. Today, we are very happy to have Chase Masters and Lauren Atkins-Booty from LS&A Instructional Support Services, and they're going to talk to you about Google+. So, without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Chase and Lauren.
Hi everyone, I'd like to thank Jean and the rest of ITS for having us here for this IT4U webinar. As she mentioned, I'm Lauren Atkins and this is Chase Masters. We are instructional technology consultants with the Learning Technologies and Consulting Group at LS&A's Instructional Support Services, and we're going to walk you through Google Plus today. So Google Plus is Google's social networking platform essentially. It's got a lot of things in common with Facebook or Twitter, and if you've used either of those platforms, you already sort of know how Google Plus is going to work. It does, however, have a couple of things going for it that the other platforms don't. I think the two best things about Google Plus are actually that it makes it a lot easier to share selectively. So one of the issues with Facebook is that there's always the worry of who can see whatever you're posting. And in Google Plus, this is a lot less of a concern. You choose who sees every item that you post, and you can select who sees whatever personal information you've chosen to put on Google Plus. And you can do so very easily, which we'll show you in a couple of minutes. It also has some great interactive components to it so that you can interact with someone in real time using the chat Hangouts or video chat or a Hangout on air, which we'll also talk about a tiny bit later on. One thing to keep in mind is that, as Jean mentioned, Google likes to change things up a little bit. So what you're seeing today may not be exactly the interface that you see in a couple of weeks, but the general functionality is still the same. So let's get started with creating our own profiles. So at this point, you should have already created a Google Plus login. And if you haven't done that, go ahead and do that now. You'll want to go to plus.google.com and sign in. You can use your UMich account if you'd like to, and just sign in with your UMich email and credentials, or you can use a private Gmail account if you prefer. But either way, just go through the forms they have. They just ask for basic information like your name and your birth date, which if you're concerned about, doesn't need to be your real birth date. It just needs to indicate that you're older than 13. So there's that. You don't have to put in your real age if you don't want to. Now once you've done that, and you've gone through the hoops of creating the account, you should have an interface like the one you see here on our screen. And this is where we're going to start. What I'm looking at right now is the news feed. And the Google Plus news feed is similar to the Facebook news feed. Anything that people you're connected with are sharing will appear in the stream. Now at this point, this is a brand new account that I've created. And so I don't really have anyone I'm connected with yet. So what I see in my news screen, in my news feed, is some suggestions on people I can connect with who are already on Google Plus, as well as some public posts that Google has thought I might be interested in. But first I'm going to go through and start adding in some of my own content, and I'm going to do that starting with my profile, which is sort of my conveyance of myself to this environment. So I'm going to click on the home button, which is in the top left. I'm going to hover over it actually. And when I do that, a menu toggles open and I have all these options here. I'm going to start with profile. Doing that takes me to my own personal profile here on Google+. And right now you can see that I don't have much going. This is, like I said, a brand new account that I've created, and so I need to start filling things in. I'm going to scroll up, and you can see that I've got this sort of default cover image that has shown up. And above that cover image, I've got a few items. I'm going to click on About to start there. This is the bulk of my personal information. And what you'll see on the About section are colored boxes with different types of information. So you can see people that have me in a circle, and if I click Edit there, I have the option of whether or not I want to display this on the page. So if I really want to be private, I don't want everyone to know who I'm connected with on Google+, I can uncheck these boxes to show things. Or I can say that only, you know, my circles can see those. We'll explain circles in a second. Or that the public can see them. So it's really up to you as to how much of this information you want displayed. I'm going to go ahead and uncheck all of those and click Save. Now to the right, I also have my story, and this is a little bit more personal. So if I click Edit at the bottom of this box, I can then edit a tagline, and a tagline in this case would be sort of like a slogan or a personal statement that you might have, or you can leave it blank. You can also give an introduction down there at the bottom for yourself, so you can say, you know, in this case I say I'm Lauren Atkins, I'm an instructional technology consultant, and just sort of give people the idea of who I am. So if they're looking for me, they know exactly who they found. If you have any bragging rights, you know, for instance, you survived high school, or you happen to be a master of blowing bubbles, or you happen to have won an eating contest of 250 hot dogs, go ahead and put that there. You might as well brag while you can. And you can do the same for each of these other boxes. I won't go through all of them because they're fairly self-explanatory, but you can choose work, education, put in basic information about yourself, such as your gender and birth date and relationships, places you've lived, which will be represented on a map, any links to, say, a personal profile or a career website or to a blog that you happen to have, and any contact information you want shared. Now, if you want to cut down who can see which of this information, for each of these boxes, when you click on Edit, you will have in the top right of each section, for instance, if my phone number was in here, I can decide who can see that information. So this little drop-down box on the right will give you the list of the options you have to select. So if I want this information public, it could be public. I probably don't want my phone number public, but I might want a web address public. I can choose only University of Michigan since I've logged in with my UMich account, in which case anyone at the U of M who signed into Google Plus could see this information, but the general public could not. Or I can choose just my circles, those people I've connected with, or only me, or I can do custom and specify individual groups of people. I'm going to go ahead and click cancel there. So you can make any changes here on the section that you'd like and just save when you're done. And the next thing we're going to do is add a cover image. So it's given me a default cover image, but you might want something more specific to you. So by clicking the Change Cover button that appears when you hover over the cover image, they'll give you a gallery of some options that they have made available to you. You can also upload an image by clicking on the Upload tab at the top, and then you'll want to either drag and drop a photo into this area or click to select a photo from your computer. I'm going to go with the gallery images because these are really pretty. And because I'm feeling a little cuddly today, we're going to go with the little fox deer. I'm not even really sure what those are, but they're adorable. So one note about cover images, as you may have noticed from looking at mine, is that cover images are massively large. And they've actually just gotten bigger as Google Plus has existed. It seems to be, you know, a thing to have massive cover images at the top of your profile. So what you want to do is, if you're going to upload a photo, is to choose one that is fairly high resolution. And I'm going to show you why. So let's take this photo, and I'm going to just choose one small bit of it, this tiny area here, if you can see that on your screens, and I'll do this area. And I'm going to click Select Cover Photo. It's going to replace that photo that I previously had with the one I've just selected. Now, if this was fairly low resolution, what you would basically see here would be a lot of pixelation. It just doesn't look good. So I'm going to click to change again, and this time I'm going to choose a broader area of this high resolution photo, or I would upload a different higher resolution photo and select that as my cover, because you want to present the best image that you can on your profile page. This is basically you on the internet, so it should look as good as it can. And you can change these cover images as often as you like and choose whatever ones you want. Now when we're done with the basics, there are a few other menus along the top here. So I'm going to click on Posts, which is right next to About. And this shows whatever posts I have personally put into Google+. And you can see I don't have anything yet. We'll get to that in a few minutes. There's also a tab for photos, a tab for YouTube videos that I may have uploaded to my account, any +1s, which are basically the equivalent of Facebook likes, or any reviews I've written. Now, if you don't want these tabs to appear on your profile, you can turn those off. You can see that just below the cover image on this +1s page and on all the other ones I just clicked through, there is a little note that says this tab is not shown to visitors. Use Google+ settings to change which tabs are visible. So you can click that link to get into the general settings for Google+, and this will let you further decide who can interact with you and your profile on Google+ and who cannot. So you can go through and say who can send you notifications, who can start sort of a chat message, chat conversation with you, where do you get notifications at, why do you get notifications, and if you don't want to be bothered, just uncheck all of these things. And then towards the bottom, way towards the bottom, you can also specify what shows on your profile. So here's a profile section, and I can choose to show, any interactions I have with communities, or my +1s, or my photos. I'm going to uncheck my YouTube videos because I don't really need those displayed, but maybe I'll leave photos checked because I want people to see photos that I've overtly added to Google+. And once I've done that, I can just scroll back up and click back to Google+. Now doing that will take you back to the home screen, so you'll want to remember to get back to your profile, hover over the home button, and click Profile. Now the last thing I'm going to show you for Profile is that you can also view how other people see your profile. I've gone through a lot of effort to make it so that certain people can only see certain things. And to test that, there's a View Profile as Yourself button. And if I click that, I can view it. Right now I'm viewing it as me, so I can see everything. I can view it as the general public, in which case it will show me what the general public would see on any of these profile pages. Or if I've given special permissions to people, I could say type in a name of someone and see how they view my profile. So you really can verify that the information that's being given out is the information that you're okay with being given out, which is a great thing. So now that I have information in here, I really want to start connecting with people because that's the point of a social network. And so I'm going to turn it over to Chase, who's going to walk you through how to connect with other people.
Excellent. Thank you, Lauren. So to continue, I'm going to go over to that menu on the left-hand side that Lauren pointed out a couple of times. Right now, the menu simply says Profile because that's the section that we currently have open. And over on the left-hand side, I'll mouse over that, and you can see we can click right back to the Home button, get back to the main area. However, the area that we're going to go over right now is actually circles. So to get to that, I'll mouse over, again, that button on the left-hand side, and mouse down to people. It actually says people, but there's a little circles icon to the left of that. So before we get into circles, let me give you a brief explanation of what exactly circles are. So for instance, I assume that many people watching today are familiar with Facebook and how Facebook does things. So I'll kind of compare circles to how they work on Facebook. So when you connect with somebody on Facebook, you send them a friend request. And nothing really happens until they see that friend request and they accept it. Once they've accepted that friend request, then essentially you are connected on Facebook and can begin sharing posts with one another. On Google+, it's a little bit different, and this goes along with the security information that Lauren touched on a little bit ago. On Google+, anybody can add you to a circle, and you could add anyone to a circle. But there's no connection unless it's a two-way connection, meaning that if I wanted to connect with Lauren on Google+, I would need to add her to a circle. She would then receive a notification saying that I did so, and in order for us to be truly connected, she would then need to add me back. So it's a little bit confusing to explain. I think it's a little bit easier to show you, so I'm going to go back to the computer and do that right now. So right now I'm under that people section that I mentioned. And this first page it's find people. So it knows that this profile is new to Google+. We don't really have any connections yet, so it's recommending specific people that it feels we may know. And it actually works very well. Lauren and I both know the majority of the people that Google+ is recommending to us right now. However, for the webinar this morning, we will not be adding any of those. Up at the top of the screen, we have the Find People tab. We have the Have You in Circles tab, so anyone who has added us will show up in there. Your Circles, which we'll go through in a minute, and Discover is simply another way to find more people to connect with on Google+. Right now, we're actually going to search for somebody. So the best way to search for somebody and to connect with somebody on Google Plus is to click on this Search for Anyone section on the left-hand side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect with one of our colleagues, Sharona. There we go. And as you can see, I didn't even type her entire name. I started typing it, and the results auto-populated below that box. So I know that this one down here is the Sharona that I'm looking for. This is the profile that she uses with the photo. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Now this takes me to her profile page, which looks pretty similar to what Lauren just showed you a few minutes ago on hers. If I scroll up, we see we have a nice large cover photo as well. She has a profile photo right here. She's gone through and gotten a few things set up and even displayed a couple of posts that are available publicly. So since they are available publicly, I actually get to see those even though I haven't connected with her yet. But let's make that connection now. So I'm going to mouse over the Add to Circles button. You'll see I just mouse over it, no need to click, just mouse over. And by default, Google has 4 different circles created for us. So we have the Friends circle, Family circle, Acquaintances circle, and the Following circle. Now, any of these you can use in any way you want. You can also delete them, you can create new ones. It's however you wish to organize the people that you connect with on Google+. Basically, try to categorize the people that you connect with. So for instance, I've connected with many friends on Google+, so I would add those to the Friends category. I've also have some family on Google+, or just perhaps acquaintances that I've met here or there. I can add those to that circle as well. For today's session, though, Sharona is a colleague of mine. She works in our office, so I'm going to create a new circle and add her to it, and we'll call it Work. So let's type in Work right here. Click the Create button. This gives us a little bit of information. Feel free to read through it yourself. I will not go through it with you today. Okay, I got it. Thank you, Google+. And now it has updated, and you'll see instead of having a red button, it says Add to Circles. Right now, it's a green button with a circle that says Work. So it shows that I have now added Sharona to my Work circle. Now, what you can't see is on the opposite end, Sharona is getting a notification either within Google Plus or on her phone or through email. It all depends on those settings that Lauren showed you a few minutes ago. But she receives a notification saying that I have added her to a circle. It does not tell her what circle I've added her to. It's simply that I've added her to a circle. So you can name the circles whatever you would like. The person on the other end has no way of telling what circle you've added them to. So I've added her to the Work circle. And at this point in time, she will likely be adding me back, so then we can do a few more demonstrations here in just a little while, where we start actually sharing information between one another on Google+. So now that we've added them, I'm going to go back over to that People section on the left-hand side. I'm going to select it, and this time I'm going to click on, at the top of the screen, the Your Circles tab. So once I've selected that, you'll see that I've now added my first connection on Google+. It happens to be Sharona. And if I mouse over her name up here at the top, it actually shows down below which circle she's been added to. Now, another feature with circles is that you can actually add people to multiple circles. So perhaps I consider Sharona to be a friend of mine, and I also work with her. In that instance, I could also add her to the Friends circle. So if I share things to the Friends circle, she would see it. If I share things to the Work circle, she would also see it. So you can add people to multiple circles. But in this instance, I've only added her to one so far. So I can mouse over it, determine which one she's been in. But there are also a few options with the circles. So to get to those, I'll actually mouse over the circle. You'll see it'll expand a little bit, and it gives you little thumbnails of who is in those circles. And I'll click on it. Now, a really nice way to help connect people that you know with other people that they may know is to share one of these circles. Right now, I only have one person in here because this is a brand new account. But let's just say I've been on Google Plus for a while, which Lauren and I both have, and I've made quite a few connections. I happen to have an office mate who has just joined Google Plus, and I would like to help that person make other connections on Google Plus. I can share my circle with that person or with a select group of people as well, meaning that somebody can take a look at that circle, see all the people that are in it, and very easily add all of them to circles as well. So to do that, I've already clicked on the Work circle at the bottom. And you'll see I have a few options. I can delete it, I can edit it, but the middle one, you can share it. So if I click on that, it pops up a window, And Lauren will get you through the sharing quite a bit more here in just a few minutes. But right here is where I can share the circle. So in this instance, I could post it and share it with somebody, saying, here are others from the office. And I can share it with them. Now down here at the bottom, again, Lauren will go through this in just a second, but I can choose who gets to see this. So perhaps I just want to share it with somebody. Maybe I just want to share the work circle with people in my work circle. That seems appropriate. I can go ahead and do so by selecting it down there and clicking the share button. At this point in time, I've now shared the work circle with everyone in my work circle. Now, one tip is that this circle does not automatically update once you've shared it. So I have shared the work circle with people in my work circle. However, if I add somebody else to that circle tomorrow, it will not auto-update for everybody else. So I would need to share some of those connections again. And with that, I think we'll turn it over to Lauren for sharing options. But before we do that, are there any questions in the chat room? I don't believe so.
All right, if you have any questions, feel free to send them in. We've got people monitoring, and we want to make sure that you're fully comfortable with Google Plus before we leave here today. So circles are very important because it's really how you dictate who gets to see whatever content you're sharing out. So let's try and share a little bit of news with people, because that's really the point of social networking. So to do that, I'm actually going to, once again, hover the cursor over that people icon on the top left and click on the home button. So as I mentioned before, this is basically your news feed, and this is probably where you'll be interacting with people the most in Google+. This is where you'll be reading things that other people have shared. For instance, I can now see Sharona's post, and where you'll probably be sharing things out as well. So when you go into Google+, chances are it's not going to be like Facebook, where the majority of people you're connected with are friends and family, at least not right at first. One of the nice things about Google+ is that there's actually a wide audience, but they may not be directly related to you in any fashion. But it's a great place to get information ideas from people who are fascinating and have a variety of interests that you may also share. And since the university community also has a good presence on Google+, thanks to our integration, you'll also be able to connect with a lot of people here at the university as well. So let's try and share something out with those people at the university. So sharing is pretty much the same as it would be on any other social networking platform. In Google+, you can share text updates. You can share photos, you can share links, you can share YouTube videos, and you can actually even share events, which basically allows you to create calendar events through Google+. So on the top left here, I've got to share what's new. So if I click that, it gives me a little pop-up box, and there's a picture of me, which is always awkward and disarming. But in this section, I can put in a little bit of content. So I just want to say that we're having a great time at the IT4U webinar for Google+. And if I want to, I can attach a photo to this. I could attach a link. I could attach a video or an event. Now if I click photo, I can drag and drop photos into here or choose one from my computer. If I already had photos on Google+, I could click that. Anything that was previously uploaded will appear here. So I'm going to go ahead and select Beaker and add him. And it's going to try and auto tag similar to what Facebook does, but there's no real people in here, only Muppets, and apparently Google doesn't identify Muppets. But now I've got an image added to this. You'll see below the image that I have a few options where I can add text to this image, I can rotate the image, and I can do some basic enhancements of the image to make it look a little prettier if I want to. So now I've got an image that I want to share along with my text, and I just have to choose who I want to share this with. Now clicking on the To box gives me a drop down. And again, I can share it just to the circles that Chase had just mentioned I created. And that would be all of the circles that I have. I can share to the entire University of Michigan community. I can share to the general public, so anyone could see this post. I could share to one of my specific circles or one or more of my specific circles. So if this was, for instance, a joke that I wanted to share with family and friends, I would just choose the family and friends circles, and only those people would be able to see my posting. If this were something work-related, I might post it to my work circle, and then only my work circle will see it, and my friends and family will be spared the tedium of my work, sort of thing. I can also choose more than one. So if I thought this was something that everyone would get a great kick out of, I could choose multiple of these or just do all circles. Yes.
And Lauren, isn't it true if it's a U of Mich account that you have the option to share it with U of M?
You do. As said, right under here, underneath your circles is a University of Michigan option, and that means anyone logged in with the University of Michigan account to Google Plus will be able to see it, but the general public will not. Yeah. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say public because this isn't really a private posting by any means, and I think Beaker should be shared with everyone. So when I select public, it adds it to the to box. And if I want to, remove that, I can click the X to delete that. And I'm going to go ahead and add it again. So I can see exactly who. I could add more individuals if I wanted to. So if I wanted to target someone specifically, like Sharona, I could start typing in her name, and she appears in the box below, and I can select her. And so Sharona will get a particular, ping that I've added her to this post, and then it will be also viewable by anyone in general on Google+. So now I'm going to click Share. And I've got my first posting on Google+. Nice post. It's very complimentary. It wants to make sure that you know that you're doing a great job. Okay, got it. But you can see here's my post, and here's it shows what the availability of it is. So it's shared publicly at 9:26 a.m. The text, the image, I can click on the image to get a bigger view of it, essentially. And reminders to, enhance the image and things like that. Now at the top of the post, there's a small drop-down arrow. And if I click that, it gives me some options. So I can go back and edit this post. If I want to just add a little bit more, or take something away. I can also delete this post entirely if I thought, well, I didn't mean to do that. That was a mistake. I can link to this post. So I could send someone a link to something I put on Google+. I can embed this post into, say, my department webpage or my personal blog. I can disable comments, and so if I want to put a post up but I don't want people leaving their own comments on it, which may be something that departments especially might be interested in for certain posts, I can disable the ability for others to comment on this post. And I can also disable reshares. So I've made this post public, which means someone else could share it, and I'll show how in a second. But if I want to limit people's ability to do that, I can disable the reshares. Now at the bottom of this post, I've got a few different icons. I have a +1, which, as I mentioned, is the equivalent to liking something on Facebook. So if someone wanted to like this post, they would click +1. I have a share icon, so I could share this post. And as I mentioned, if you post something publicly, other people have the option to reshare it, similar to that they would on Facebook. If you have put something up that had limited access to it, they won't have that ability. So if I wanted to share this post and send it to other people or specific groups or communities, I could do that. There's also the comment box, so that I could leave a comment here. Someone else could reply. If Sharona wanted to, she could come in, leave a comment, and I could reply back to her. In this case, I've got Sharona's post over here on the right, and I'm going to go ahead and say, I really want that Tauntaun rug, and post a comment. And she and I can converse that way. And I can see that she has just now put a comment on my latest post that I can reply to, so we can have a great conversation going. Now, when she left a comment on my post, you may have noticed in the top right here, there's a little bell icon, and it suddenly gained a red #1. That's my notification. And the nice thing about notifications in Google Plus is they appear on all Google tools. So if you are in your Gmail, you'll have that little icon appear if someone has left you a message on Google+. If you're in Google Sites and someone leaves you a message on Google+, you'll get that little notification in Google Sites as well. It will permeate across all Google tools. So what I can do is click on this little bell icon, and it will give me all of my notifications. I can see that Brenda Gunderson has added me to a circle. I can see that Sharona has added me back after I added her to a circle. And I can see that Sharona has commented on a post of mine. If I click that, it gives me a nice preview of what that post was and what her comment was. So if I'm in Gmail, I don't have to leave it to come back to Google Plus to see these updates. I can get them right within that notifications window. And I can also reply back. I'm going to hit the back button and then just click off, and it will take me right back here. So now that I've got a little bit of content on Google Plus, we'll talk about some other ways to sort of share information. I'll take it back to Chase.
Perfect. Thank you, Lauren. So we've gone through creating a profile, perhaps adding people to circles, starting to make some of those connections, and to really begin sharing information with one another. However, there is another way that you can connect with people and share information on Google+, and it's actually one of the newer features that Google has added. and that is called communities. Again, if you're familiar with Facebook, communities are basically Google's answer to Facebook groups. They're very similar, as you'll see shortly. So to access the Google Plus communities, we'll go again to our menu on the left-hand side where it says Home. We'll go down about halfway down in that menu and select Communities. Now, this is a brand new account, so we've not connected with any communities yet. However, if we did, those communities would show up right in this area. And before we move on, I think we have a question.
Someone in the chat, Pat, wants to know if you delete someone from a circle, do they get a notification?
They do not. They do not. So you don't have to worry about it. It's not quite as awkward as Facebook was when you suddenly realize that someone didn't have you in a circle anymore. What happens if you delete someone from a circle, then they're gone from that circle, but they don't know that. If you delete them if you have deleted them from one circle, but they're still in another, you're still connected. If you delete them from all circles they may possibly have been in, then they're just disconnected with you, and they don't necessarily realize that. If you have that awkward situation where you need to add someone but you don't really want to converse with them, add them to a circle that you intend to never share with, call it do not share, and then you can sort of skip past that awkward sort of stage.
Yeah. The only time that they would receive any type of notification is if you deleted them from all of your circles and then later on decided to add them back. Because you've added them back, then they would get a notification. So yeah, like Lauren said, it is sometimes good to really think about your circles and how you wish to categorize people that you've connected with on Google+. That acquaintances circle is a good one for that. That's what I typically use for people that perhaps I've communicated with online, but I don't really know personally, that I do want to make some sort of connection with, but not quite to the level that I want to connect with my actual friends, family, and colleagues. Yeah, great question. So within the communities section, we are currently at Discover Communities. Now, as I just mentioned, if we had already joined some communities, they would be listed right here. But let's take a look and see what different communities are available. You'll see as we scroll down, there are quite a few, all sorts of different topics. So it's basically communities are put together by topic. So if you like skydiving, or you're a foodie, who in Ann Arbor isn't a foodie in some way, Korean food, fashion, zombie apocalypse, there are communities for everything. If there's something specific that you're looking for, you can also go to the very top and search for something. So right here, maybe I could just type in the word Michigan, do a quick search, and you'll see all communities that have something to do with Michigan show up right here, and there's quite a few of them. However, I noticed one in that first page that looks very familiar. It's for the Mobile Users Group, which Lauren and I lead once a month. So let's take a look at that. Once I select the community, it takes us to the community page. And again, this is pretty similar to a Facebook group. So we have information about the community, of course, a cover photo. There's a list of all the members. We currently have 84 members in the group. And as we scroll down, you'll see that every single post within this group has something to do with mobile technology, because it is a mobile users group. That is the topic of this community. So if I would like to join this community, so I can communicate with all these other individuals on this topic, all I need to do is go up to the top right-hand corner where it says Join Community and click on that. Give it just a second, and now we have joined. So thank you, Google+. We can, it reminds me we can actually get notifications for these communities. I will leave those turned off for today. And you can invite your friends. So at this point in time, we have now connected with this community, meaning that we can now interact with all of the posts on here and all of the people on here without ever having to actually add them to circles. So if there's something interesting that I would like to share, I can do so by doing the exact same method that Lauren just showed. Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here. And then I can go ahead and share that. I'm not going to do that this morning, but I could click the share button and that would get posted. Now, another thing about communities is that everything in communities is categorized. So on the left-hand side, right now by default, we're looking at all of the posts. However, if you look underneath that, you'll see that we actually set up with this community other topics. So if it has to do with iOS, Android, BlackBerry, Windows Phone, specific news that happens to deal with mobile technology, you can not only post things in those different categories, but you can select them. So perhaps I'm interested in some mobile news that's been going on. Here we go, Google acquires Bump, and here's some other posts that some of the other members have posted on here. If I'm just interested in iOS, I can select that as well, and all of these posts just deal with iOS. So it's a very easy way to kind of categorize the information that you're sharing and viewing within a community. So now that's basically the overview of communities for you. Again, it's a nice, easy way to connect with people without having to individually add one another. But you can actually make a lot of new connections by going and interacting within these communities. I know I definitely have myself. So one last thing that we would like to go over is just a very brief introduction to Hangouts. Now, the reason why it's going to be brief is that Google Plus Hangouts is a very large tool, and it's basically worthy of its own webinar. And it just so happens that next month's IT4U webinar is on Google Plus Hangouts. So we're just going to give you a very, very brief overview of what they can do. And we do highly suggest that you tune in next month to learn a little bit more about the Hangouts, because they're a really great feature. So to get to Hangouts, you'll notice on the right-hand side we have a Hangouts button. I'm going to select that. We stayed signed out of the Hangouts this morning because we're doing a webinar and we didn't really want chat messages and video conferencing alerts to pop up during the webinar itself. But right now I'm going to sign in. And now you'll see we have a handful of people on our Hangouts list. So right now I'm going to select on Sharona right up here at the top. And I can actually close that Hangouts list if I would like. And right here we have a video call button. That is the Google Plus Hangout. That's the actual video Hangout part. So if you're unfamiliar with Hangouts, it's essentially Skype, except you can do it for free with multiple participants, and it's all done within a web browser. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that button. I'll maximize this window. And we will call Sharona so you can put a face to the person that's been chatting with you a little bit in the chat room.
And there's us.
Laura and I can see ourselves.
Good.
Hello.
All right.
So that's all working correctly. Let's adjust the camera a little bit. There we go. And we can see Sharona. Hi, Sharona. She has her audio turned off right now to prevent feedback for the webinar. But as you can see, we're able to connect instantly with Sharona. And if we wanted to add more people to this video conference, we could do that as well. So this is just a very brief overview of the Google Plus Hangouts. Lauren, do you have anything else to add to the Hangouts portion?
I do definitely second Chase's recommendation to attend next month's webinar on Google Hangouts because it is a great tool and probably one of the best free video conferencing tools available on the web, and so easy to do here at the university since we all have access to it. And definitely one of the best things about Google Plus as well.
So thank you very much, Sharona. We'll go ahead and hang up the call now. We
Bye,
appreciate
Sharona.
it.
So that's a brief overview of Google Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Nothing from my end. If there are any other questions in the chat, feel free to let us know now, or we're happy to connect with you later on. Jean can always share your email address with us, and we're happy to connect with you outside of the webinar.
Mm-hmm. We hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, and with this, we'll turn it back over to Jean. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Chase and Lauren, for an excellent presentation. Let me, please stick around because we just got a couple more things. Resources, M+ box folder, because the collaboration forum focusing on Google+. So they've got some resources there. There's an LSNA guide to Google Tools. There's a link, and there's M+ Google. Recording of this session will be listed on the IT4U page in my link, and it'll also be on that Next Gen public web page. If you're not on my IT4U announce email list, you can always sign up for that right here. If you're having technical problems, just go ahead and check in with the service center. So, I want to thank you very much, and those of you who are here live, please stick around because we're going to stop recording right now, but we would like your feedback in the polls.